Tyler Crockett. Tyler is a Port Huron native whose passion for racing included motorcycles, cars, but his favorite was boats. His first boat race was in 1982 in Port Huron. Since then, Tyler has achieved over 50 wins with 2 national championships, 3 world championships, and 2 Great Lakes Silver Cup Series championships. While successful in boat racing built by others, Tyler's greatest achievement came winning races in boats that he built with also the engines he built. The shop that Tyler owns and runs builds racing engines for numerous competitors. He's even converted a NASCAR engine into a boat racing engine. On July 24th this year, Tyler set a world speed record in Galveston, Texas, piloting a 2,200 horsepower boat to 118 miles per hour. If you've ever driven by the huge building that Jim Atchison built to house boats, you've seen there are 2 murals painted. One is a racing boat piloted by Ed Smith, who we inducted a couple of years ago. The other is piloted by Tyler Crockett, who we're inducting this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, Tyler Crockett.
Just want to thank everybody for coming out, all my friends and family, and who supported me through all the years, especially my wife, Kim, put up with all me through all those years. I'm still working on her. And I also have one apology tonight for Mr. Jim Weimer in the back there for calling him up at 12:30, 1:30 in the morning sometimes to tell him that all boats didn't have sails on them. So, sorry, Jim. I want to thank George Eisenhardt for coming up. He used to drive some of my boats for me. We won some world championships together and came all the way up from Ohio. Thank you.
Okay, Dave Epley.
Thank you, Ron. First of all, congratulations, inductees. And Pat, Ken Semmelsberger asked me, what are you if you've got 2 of the 7? Tonight, it's my pleasure to be able to introduce one of the best bowlers that ever come out of Port Huron. The Times Herald today called him the face of bowling in Port Huron, Mr. Ed Karwinski. Not everyone plays football, not everyone plays basketball, not everyone pole vaults, but everyone, I think, has taken a time to go down to the bowling alley and bowl the line or 2, so we know the difficulty of the sport. In order to get Ed's accomplishments in perspective, I went to the United States Bowling Congress website to find out what an above average bowler is. And this is what you'll find. It's a bowler who bowls 180, 190 per game. He'll have a couple misses. Most of the time he'll have spares and strikes. And every once in a while, he'll get a little bit hotter and he'll have 3 or 4 strikes in a row. If he gets really hot, he might have 7 or 8. As far as series goes, he'll probably have a 550 series right around that area, and usually during a year it'll be like several 600 series, and maybe if you really get hot, you'll have a 700 series. Let me tell you what Ed has done. In a period between 1991 and 2003, his averages ranged from 228 to 237. Years he was 237 in 1998, 233, and so forth. You would have to be averaging, having a series of 700 in order to do that sort of thing. Over his career, Ed has had 32 800 series. meaning he had to average 266 per game in order to achieve that, 32. Even more remarkable to me is that during this period, he also had 62 300 games, perfect games. He has been in Port Huron named to the All-Association All-Star Team 15 times. He's been the Port Huron Association Match Singles Champion 4 times the Association's Doubles Champ, and he was 2 times Port Huron Team Champ. Ed has won too many tournaments for me to list, but let me go through a couple of them. He is 7 times Ontario Tournament Champion, 4 times second place in the Michigan Majors Tournament, 4 times Bill Dunkel Memorial Champion, and 3 times the Michigan State Polish Bowling Champion. In 1998, Ed bowled in a tournament, the High Rollers, won $50,000. Back in 1998, that's quite a feat. 88, sorry. In Detroit, Ed's been named Rookie of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Bowler of the Year, All Events Champ, and was on the All City team. He's been a constant member of the Port Huron Association, and he has been on the executive board for the Michigan State Polish Bowlers Association. Please join me in congratulating Ed K-Man Karwinski for his induction to Port Huron Hall of Fame.
Grab my stuff out of here. Yes, I am nervous.
I'm too tired to bowl, just listening to everything you've done, man.
Good evening. First of all, I wanted to thank the Hall of Fame committee for voting me in. It's a great honor. Whew. I thought this would be a walk in the park. All my 300s, 800s, and tournaments I have won, bowled in, don't come close. This is not something you think about. This is a day you dream about, and my dream has come true. God has blessed me in so many ways. Thank you, oh dear Lord, I am overwhelmed. Someone told me I only had 3 to 5 minutes to speak a lap and said, how do I thank all these people that I have had an influence in my bowling career? If I could take this plaque and break it into that many pieces, I would give each of you a piece. For that, I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart. I want to thank the love of my life, Julie. You are truly an awesome person. Thank you for the support with bowling, family, and life. I love you. I want to thank my family for all the support, great memories. I will always cherish. I love you too. I want to thank my Polish tournament family, John and Peggy Masters, Sam Mienta, and the rest of the board, my neighbors, Matt and Ann Lanshute, and the girls, all the Port Huron Bowling Association, and my buddy Chuck Olette. For many years, my doubles partner, we sure had some great times. Thanks this so much. Some of you may know I was born with cerebral palsy. A friend of mine I once grew up with told me, you always have overcome any obstacle that stood in your way and excelled. So my challenge to you all, never turn your back on somebody that's handicapped or elderly or someone who needs help. Help them overcome their obstacles. Thank you and good night.
It's an honor and a privilege for me tonight to introduce Ed Peltz, who I knew for a long time when I arrived here in Port Huron in 1978. Ed was one of the first people I met. As you know, Ed passed away in 2009 after a courageous battle with cancer. Looking around this room tonight, Ed certainly would have enjoyed seeing former players, coaches he worked with, coached against, teachers and administrators. As a coach, Ed was a Big Red, a Husky, a SC4 skipper. As an administrator, he was at Port Huron South, Port Huron Central Middle School. So you can see he made an impact on a lot of people's life and was a real leader. As a basketball coach in the late 80s, the Big Reds won 3 consecutive Eastern Michigan League titles. The 1987-88 team finished 24-2 and lost in the Class A quarterfinals to Detroit Southwestern, I believe, in a great game down at Callahan Hall. And they were one of the best teams in the state. I think if they get by that game, they may have a chance to win it all. But Ed certainly had a love for life, his family, coaching, teaching, working with students, and also our student athletes. But he had a passion for basketball. And that's the kind of the interesting thing with all his highlights and things like that. For those in the room who played with Ed and played against Ed, I think the nickname was he was Easy Eddie, but he never saw a shot he didn't like. Pat's probably seen a few people like that. And there's another one at the far end of the table, or near the far end, who never saw a shot he didn't like. So I think it's a great honor for Ed tonight, and I'd like to have his family come up and talk a little bit about him. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the committee for selecting Ed for induction into the Port Huron Sports Hall of Fame. Ed would have been so honored to join this elite group of persons who excelled in area sports. He always felt that he could connect with others and mentor personal growth through sports. Sports was always central to his life. It taught him the competitive spirit as a child, sportsmanship, and the leadership skills that propelled his career in the Port Huron Area School District. He was a special education teacher, a teacher consultant, and an administrator, but I believe his most rewarding job was that as a coach. His passion for mentoring youth it always amazed me. He earned the respect of the athletes he coached, and he taught them about working together as a team, about integrity and also sacrifice. But Ed also modeled the most important thing of putting God and his family first. He was passionate about sports, yet very compassionate to understand that he was working with developing young athletes. He was always known for his sharp sense of style. He had a loud, bounding voice that was always heard in the gym and in the hallways. And then always readjusting his pants during those games. And again, saying that he never took a shot that he didn't like. Thank you.
Before I introduce our next inductee, I just want to let you know that probably the proudest thing in Ed Peltz's life, he was my friend. I worked with Ed for a long time at Port Huron High School, was he was so proud of his family. And that was always his number one love in life, was his family. Our next inductee is George Popa. George began his coaching career in Port Huron in 1972 at Port Huron Central High School. He came to Port Huron High School in 1980 after Port Huron Central closed. And that's where I first really got to know George. George spent most of his career coaching girls basketball and softball. He also coached JV baseball at Central. George also spent time here at SC4, where he was involved as assistant coach in girls basketball and also softball assistant and head coach. His accomplishments include many, and you can read them more about those in your programs, but he had 340 wins as a girls basketball coach, 250 wins as a softball coach, 101 wins as a JV baseball coach, several league and district titles to go along with as many Coach of the Year awards. George spent 34 years teaching and coaching in the Port Huron School District and being a positive influence on thousands of lives in the process. You think about it, just all the number of people that he touched in the classroom and on the field. If I had one word to describe George Popa, it would be caring. George cared about both his players on and off the field. As a fellow coach and AD at Port Huron High with him, I watched him work with countless students who needed his help and guidance. He would always go an extra mile to help a student with any problem. Whether it be in school, on a team, playing problems, whatever it is, George would be there to help him. I can remember seeing him counsel a girl who had a tragedy in her life and helping her through that tragedy. I watched him work with athletes who had low self-esteem and make them feel better about themselves. George truly cared about his family, his players, his students, his fellow coaches, his friends, and especially his brothers. And for those of you that don't know who his brothers are, just to let you know, we have kind of a unique relationship with George, all of us. And brothers, if you'd please stand and let everybody see who his brothers are. These are through the years, we played basketball, played softball, did a lot of things together, and we've become great friends. And all through the years, we've had this friendship, and there are many colloquialisms I could share, but I better not do it here. So I would be remiss if I didn't tell at least one story about George's athletic prowess. As mentioned before, George never saw a shot that he didn't like. And George always considered himself a pretty good shooter. And there's a term that basketball coaches and basketball players and other athletes use called, especially when they play, they can shoot the lights out. Basically, it means that every shot that they take goes up and goes in. Well, George took that a little bit farther, because he took it literally. Playing in a city rec game in Hollywoods, at that time, our point center, Jerry Schock, decided to give him a pass on the wing, and George let fly was one of his long-range, high-arching three-pointers, which immediately started crashing. Dust, dirt from the lights came down. They flickered on and off because George Popa had finally done it. He had shot the lights out. George, that's a true story. There are many more, but some of them I can't tell. But one story I can tell, and it's a local official, one of our board members, when George was nominated, made this comment. Jim Bennett said he had umpired a lot of games that George had coached. He said that George Popa got more out of his players than any other coach in the area. And I think that shows part of the reason he got that was because he cared about his players. And they knew that. And one of the things that's important is, as a coach, is to let the kids know that you care, and George was never afraid to do that. I am proud to present George for induction not only to the Port Huron Sports Hall of Fame, but also into the Hall of Fame of Life. Ladies and gentlemen.
He made me cry. that story is true about the lights. A guy jumped out at me, and I was shooting a three-pointer.
Excuses.
And he hit the lights, and Dave Epley fell over laughing on the court. And the game stopped. We had one guy on the bench, Al Frost, who had a bad leg. He checked in for me. He made me go sit down. Thanks, Kenny. Yeah, there's my 3 minutes. Those of you who know me, 3 minutes is tight for me. It's a little tough. I want to say something first before I start with well, I want to say something about Eddie Peltz. For me, this is even more special to be inducted with Eddie. Eddie and I shared a gym for many years at PH. We coached against each other when he was at Northern. And his last coaching job was actually with me. He helped the team camps, and then he was an assistant coach when Lee was a senior. And it just really means a lot to me that we are together on this. One of the proudest things, or the thing I guess my biggest memory, and I think I sent a letter to Lee about this, the thing I've always remembered about Eddie, and you were talking about his family and everything, Lee made a shot, a three-point shot that won a game in districts. And I might have been the only three-pointer he ever made, I don't remember, yeah. And Eddie was on the bench, and she hit the shot, and the kids went crazy. And I looked around, and Eddie wasn't a coach anymore, he was a dad. Well, I want to congratulate the other inductees. Tyler, looks like an older fella. I had him as a student. There's some other old guys in the back. I want to thank Carl Beach, too, for having so many sons, because that baseball 101 wins, I had a Beach on every team I coached at Port Huron Central. So that helped a little bit. I want to thank the board for voting me in. This is really, a great honor for me. I want to thank my really good friend Pat Cogley for nominating me. And I want to thank my own Hall of Fame of friends. You met the brothers and relatives that are here tonight. I really appreciate you guys coming. I'd like to thank all the players and coaches I worked with. I worked with so many great kids. Akil Akaier, the best player I ever coached in anything. And that was what it was about. It was working with great kids and just having so much fun out there. With the assistant coaches, I had some great people. Mark, worked with me in softball. I want to thank Dale Voss and Carrie Laura is not here, but they gave me the best retirement job a guy ever had. They let me come over here and coach. And Dale asked me one time if I ever wanted to be a head coach. I said, nope, I just like teaching. I like being out there working with the kids. That's the fun part. And for me, that was always the best part about coaching, was working with the kids, watching them grow as athletes and people. And I've always told everybody, my favorite part of basketball coaching was practice. The games were great, but just watching kids learn and work together and learn to be better people, that was always my goal. So, this is great through the years. The last people I want to thank are my son and my wife. And my son's not here tonight. He's got a pretty good excuse. Tonight's his 10th wedding anniversary, and he's in Cancun with his wife. I thought that was a pretty good reason not to be here. Okay. Any of you that are married to coaches know that's a pretty tough job, okay? Never home, late for dinner, always an excuse, all these things. It's the job. And my wife, Mary, did such a good job of keeping our family afloat and just, letting me do what I wanted to do all my whole life. I wanted to do this since I was in the 10th grade. So I want to thank Mary for all the time I was late, all the time I missed things and all of that. She was the epitome of the coach's wife. She did it right. So I want to thank Mary for always being there for me. And how many people actually get to spend their entire life doing what they want to do and something they really love to do? Not everybody gets that chance. I had that chance. I picked this career. It was the right one for me. And it's just something I love doing, and now getting this award for doing something I love doing is really special. So I want to thank everybody for that. Thank you very much.
Okay, to introduce the 1955 Port Huron Minor Hockey Association team, Gary Parker.
Good evening. First of all, I'd like to thank Pat Williams for coming out tonight and giving us an excellent speech. I hope everybody learned a little something about leadership tonight. And again, congratulations to all the inductees tonight. It's well deserved, and we certainly appreciate your efforts. The group we're going to induct as a team this year is the 1955 Port Huron Minor Hockey Association Rotary Pee-wees. This was the first true team in the Port Huron Minor Hockey Association, and their induction is long overdue. These guys were the true pioneers of the sport of hockey here in Port Huron. These guys started on a rink out on 23rd and White Street playing basically pond hockey. And Mr. Fred Lamline, who is a Hall of Fame inductee and also was instrumental in bringing Silver Stick to Port Huron, went up to these 14, 8 to 12-year-olds and said, hey, how would you guys like to play in a real rink and play some organized hockey? And of course, that was what they did. And, you know, tonight we're not going to talk about stats and win-loss records and that type of thing. We're here to talk again about these gentlemen being pioneers for the Port Huron Minor Hockey Association, which this year will be entering its 55th year of existence here in Port Huron, which is one of the longest runs in the state. They actually, in their first year, actually went on to play in Point Edward. They played their games in Point Edward Arena across the bridge, and they even played in a tournament in Goderich, Ontario. We won't talk about the score because they don't want to talk about it either, but, you know, but they weren't on the right side of the win-loss column there. We have several players attending tonight that are still around, and we wish that they would come up front here. They are Gary Dell, Jeff Kellogg, Noel Kellogg, Tom Whitliff, and Al Cleaver. And now, on behalf of the team, is Al Cleaver.
First of all, I'd like to thank Mike Batchelor, who nominated the team. What a great guy. Started out by cleaning my carpets and looked up in the wall and saw that picture. Said, who's that? And I told him all about it. We started over at 23rd. Oh yeah, and by the way, I got about 20-some family members over there on the come from here and wide. We started out at 23rd and White, and I wish Mr. Kazmarzik was here. He lived in Crossville. And he flooded the rink for us, and he made goal nets out of chicken wire and 2x4s.
Ed Ralkin brought the holes in the party.
Yeah, and Ed Ralkin. Well, Mr. Lemline come down, and I think he worked in the toilet office. And he was a couple of streets down. He come down and said, how would you boys like to play some organized hockey? We said, sure. So we got the Rotary, and thanks again for the Rotary Club to sponsor us. And of course, we got ice over in Point Edward. This is a few years before we had a rink here. So he said, boys, you got us in this tough league. Well, anything was tough for us. We were in the league with Point Edward, Watford, Forest, Petrolia, Elviston. And by the way, Elviston has square borders. And you didn't yet. And don't sharpen your skates before they go there because it was all rusty ice. Back then, of course, there was no Zamboni ice, and the last 6 guys off the ice had to scrape. So I tried to be first. So then they come out with a 50-gallon barrel with wheels, with water, and that's how they flooded the ice. We played, like I said, we don't want to go into the scores, but I'll just say this. The Goderich tournaments, I got in my scrapbook, and we lost 15-0. But a big thing about that, really big thing, they never seen an American team before. Wow. Ooh. That, you know, I'm very humbled to be here. Very, very humbled to be here. Like, you know, there's not much more I can say except a thank you to the Hall of Fame and everybody, you know, connected with this. Let these guys say something.
I think we'll spend time with her. And our first game was in Watford, and I'll never forget that game because we started off in the first period, and quite frankly, our best player, they were Ray Cushel, who we miss a lot. He should be in this thing on his own. Picked up the puck, skated the length of the ice, shot, hit the goaltender, rebounded right straight out in front, and little 9-year-old Tommy Coos, if you got your picture, he's over in the front right, tucked the puck in the net. We were ahead 1-0 in our first game. Now we lost 21-1. We had a great time. And it's these three gentlemen in the back of the picture that made that possible for us, along with the Rotary Club, and of course our parents who allowed us to do that. But it was a great run. It was a lot of fun, and it started something big. And we have the Port Huron Minor Hockey Association.
Good evening, I'm Gary Dell. Sorry to say I left Port Huron in 1970 to employment down in Allen Park, Michigan, south side of Detroit. Retired firefighter there. My parents have passed away. They used to always keep me up to date of all the old guys and friends of what's going on and stuff, and they're gone now, so I've kind of lost contact with all that, but loved growing up here. But I can remember down on the corner, we don't even have hockey skates. We got figure skates. We got the tips ground off. We got magazines stuck in our pants. We didn't have a clue, but we wanted to play hockey. And we did the best we could. But boy, our parents come through for us once we got this team going, and we all got over to Sarnia and got to the sports shop, and because nobody around here had any equipment, got our equipment, and one thing led to another. But you know, about 5 years into this thing, you know, we had our travel team, we had our house league going, and we finally got a ring. We started beating the hell out of those Canadians over there, and they didn't like it. We were doing really good. And by time I was a 13-year-old, I did move up and play midgets, 14, 15. Mudgie's Midgets, there's trophies over in there. We won the state championship, and we kicked some serious butt down in Detroit. That's all I got to say. But thank God the Port Huron people kept this program going, and we've got some great hockey players that have come out of Port Huron.
My name is Jeff Kellogg, and I was talking to Tom earlier today. I said, you know, we've all gotten a little bit bigger, but our problem is we're still eating like we did when we were playing hockey. Playing hockey, starting off like that, when you take a look at what it brought to us all with regard to the teamwork, learning how to get along with one another, building relationships, and what Pat was talking about with regard to the 7 core principles for leadership, it really does make a difference when you have the discipline to do that. And those are the building blocks that make things better for all of us in life. And you know, you gotta thank your parents. Think about all the games that they hauled us. I was talking to my cousin Noel, and I can remember we were going to Forest one night, and a provincial policeman pulled my uncle over because he was going too fast. And Noel rolls the window down. No, he didn't do that. My uncle gets out and starts walking back, and the provincial policeman comes along, and Noel yells out, "Hit him, Pa!" And I thought, my God, here we go. We're never going back. Oh, my God. But we've got a lot of good memories. And when you take a look at sports and what they do for building the relationships and the character that is needed to go on in life, it really makes a difference, along with the discipline of getting along and doing the things that we all need to do. And I want to thank Port Huron for Fred Lemline, Ken McIntyre, who was our coach, the sacrifices that those folks made with regard to their jobs and their work and everything to make it possible for us to go and be here tonight and to have the careers that we've been able to have. And so I want to thank Port Huron for all of the foundation and everything that it's given to us. Thank you.
My name's Noel Kellogg, and I just want to thank everybody. We're proud of this. It means something. I've told a lot of people about being on the first hockey team in the city of Port Huron, and the other guys have shared the same thing. It was fun. It was interesting. It was never boring. Somebody mentioned the Godrich tournament. We played in a Friday night game to kick off the tournament. It was an exhibition game. We got beat by Godrich. The next night, we played a team from St. John's, Newfoundland. And these guys came out on the ice, and they're going like this around the ice. And we're just standing there watching them going, yeah, okay, this isn't going to go well. It was 20-0. The next night, they stopped in New York City, and they were in the audience at the Ed Sullivan Show, and they introduced them in the audience, which I thought was kind of neat. I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Thank God. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
How about a big hand for all the people inducted tonight? And for our featured speaker, Pat Williams. And before I send you home, I want to bring Tommy Steppo up for benediction.
Let's all stand. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the wonderful evening that we've enjoyed together to celebrate all these athletes and to commemorate all of their achievements. Lord, we're thankful that you have placed us here in this Blue Water area. Thank you for all of the opportunities that are available to us here and for the future athletes that are to come. Thank you for this great organization that makes a point to recognize the achievements that have been won. But Lord, we're here tonight asking you for your help and continued guidance for this great nation of ours. And as Pat said, we need help from heaven. So Lord, give us that help in our great country to make it great and to keep it great. We pray all these things in Jesus' name. And everybody said,
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Right. Amen. Okay, we still have a few books left. Pat Williams would be happy to autograph. They're $10 each. You want to come up and meet Pat? He's willing to stay over for a few minutes. Have a great evening, remainder of the evening. Drive safe, and we'll see everybody next year.